why aren't Muslims funny?
It's a crazy country.
I'm really bothered by it.
Wow, I'm thrilled.
Enjoy!
What is the power of literature? Can it break through the barrier of language, of ethnicity, religion and nationality? The first Karachi Literature Festival was a meeting ground for the youth and intellectuals of Pakistan. The festival catered to an enormous hunger in the youth to connect with the outside world. It was a forum for cross-cultural exchange between the UK and Pakistan.
God, you know English, just speak English, you know, that sort of thing. But now you can see that the Asian.
It also provided an opportunity to the youth to express and take pride in their cultural heritage, to voice their opinions and articulate their vision of the world. The festival was evidence that it is through dialogue that fear engendered by years of conflict can be overcome so as to cement bonds that bring people together as citizens of the world. But this celebration of literature in such turbulent times came with its own set of predicaments. Many questions cropped up. With so many international authors coming in, would the 2 days of the festival pass peacefully? Will the event draw audiences?
I loved the people, I loved the authors, and it was a dream come true.
Will the youth be drawn to an event that focuses on reading, listening, reflecting and debating?
It had nothing to do with the government of India, the government of India.
Will people be open to provocative discussions on activism, religion and identity?
I feel quite connected to that generation of young Pakistanis who are quite culturally hybridized.
Will the festival be able to connect worlds through the power of words?
We need festivals like this. It is so energizing to be here, to interact with people who've read your work. That guftagu is very essential, otherwise one writes like a hermit.
ऑक्सफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी प्रेस एक बैनुल-अक़वामी सतह का एक इदारा है. उन्होंने ब्रिटिश काउंसिल ने के साथ मिलकर एक इदारा कायम किया है. हमें उसका एहसानमंद होना चाहिए और उर्दू वालों को उसका शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहिए कि अंग्रेज़ी में उनका सारा काम होता है. इसके बावजूद उन्होंने उर्दू के इतने अहम अदीबों को दुनिया भर से जमा करके हमारे साथ वक्त दिया उन्हें इस्तिफ़ादे का.
मैं समझती हूँ कि ब्रिटिश काउंसिल ने और ऑक्सफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी प्रेस ने एक ताज़ा हवा के झोंके के तौर पे काम किया है, क्योंकि आपके यहाँ तख्लीक़ी ज़हन, तख्लीक़ी काविश, दिल की बात और एहसास से रेज़े चुनना तकरीबन हराम होता जाता है.
This is our opportunity as human beings. Shouldn't be state-sponsored. It shouldn't be sponsored by a religion. It shouldn't be sponsored by a bank. It should be all of us that want this. And if we have a hunger for it, we should get it.
Like हम घर बैठे हुए हमेशा बात करते हैं कि ये होना चाहिए वो होना चाहिए, तो कभी नहीं हो सकता. हमें उनके पास जाना चाहिए कि आप ये करें तो फिर जाके हो सकता है.
I think that you have audiences at the Karachi Literature Festival who are incredibly well informed, who've done their research, who've gone out and made a point to read the books in the festival before coming to the festival. There's a tremendous hunger here for knowledge and for information and for informed discussion.
I was at a creative writing workshop this morning. That was by far the most interesting session. There was a couple of, I think there was a poet in another room and a writer in the other. But in the creative writing, you had young people talking about Dickens and talking about art and talking about poetry. That's the sort of thing you can imagine in a university in Britain, possibly, but they probably wouldn't be discussing Dickens. They'd probably be discussing, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
I don't think anyone of us was interested in any sort of literature. But attending a few functions, Zabardasti or not Zabardasti ke baghair, that somehow motivated me. For example, I haven't heard of a writer, Mohammad Hanif, but when I attended his seminar, now I'm moved to read him.
remarkable journey for the British Council. We are feeling very excited. Nevertheless, we have to see how it is received at the masses level for tomorrow and day after. Even that is perhaps not as important as how it will build up into something which is sustainable, which is owned by the local organizations along with the youth of not only the city but of this country.
Good things are going to happen next 2 days. Things which should have happened a long time ago, and they're finally happening, such as thinking, reading, reflecting, etc.
I have mixed feelings that I hope it works out and it's successful. And already I feel that with international attention focused on Pakistan, I think this is the right moment. You know, it's really a question of striking while the iron is hot.
It's not been easy because you can imagine that Pakistan has been getting a bad press, and Karachi in particular, the saddest of cities as somebody has described it. And the security threats have been there, and we are also very nervous. We don't want things to go wrong.
I wouldn't say that there was not any fear around those issues. I mean, they're always there. Security has been a concern, and there's no, one should accept it, that this is the kind of world and the country that we're living in.
At the moment, Pakistan isn't considered a particularly sexy destination. You know, if you tell people you're going to India, I was traveling in India, they're like, oh my God, you know, they think colour, they think the Raj, they think the Taj Mahal, everybody gets excited, you know. If you tell people that you're going to Pakistan, it's like, have you got your security arrangements sorted out?
वो तो कहते हैं. I don't feel unsafe, and I was talking about that over here. I really feel very strongly about the fact that that safety is a matter of the mind. And I was reading a poem actually about gun culture in Houston, where there are gun shows every month and people walk into these spaces and they walk out carrying huge bags of ammo and guns. Before Obama was elected, there was a mad rush to purchase guns.
They're beginning to talk about Pakistan as an ungovernable country. And the only news is whenever there's an explosion somewhere. But if news of this event were to be broadcast, then people will say, well, they are civilized people there.
But I think literature is more than just about the headline. And so I think for me, what's wonderful about this is that people are telling stories, they are reading stories, and it's part of what makes a culture alive.
मेरा ख्याल तो ये है कि जिस किस्म का हमारे यहाँ माहौल है, जिस किस्म की हमारे यहाँ एक्सट्रीमिज़म हर लिहाज से, मैं सिर्फ एक एक्सट्रीमिज़म की बात नहीं करता, सियासी हो, समाजी हो, मजहबी हो, या जो शिद्दत पसंदी हो, दहशत पसंदी हमारे यहाँ आ गई है, हम उसका मुकाबला गोली से नहीं कर सकते, हम उसका मुकाबला सिर्फ कल्चर से कर सकते हैं.
But because your introduction is slightly going to be in danger of being longer than the session, so shall I just start speaking myself?
The passage that I'm going to read is about the night of the coup. Those of you who are old enough might have memories of that. So I've seen 2 military coups in Pakistan in my own life. And one always wonders what goes on in these people's minds.
There is much disturbing talk. India is going to be broken. Can one break a country? And what happens if they break it where our house is?
ये बहस 5 साल तक चलती रही, वो तो अल्लाह भला करे फहमीदा रियाज का कि उन्होंने अपनी नज़्म लाओ अपना हाथ ज़रा लिखी, तो मेरे से सारी तवज्जो हट के फहमीदा की तरफ चली गई.
In a conclusive victory, both sides must win equally.
हम दावे बहुत करते हैं जल्दी. एक दावा ये किया गया कि हमारा मुख्तसर अफसाना मगरिब के मुख्तसर अफसाने से आगे निकल गया है. और ये ऐसे लोगों ने दावे किए जो हमारी मशहूर शख्सियतें हैं, मसलन अहमद अदीम काज़मी ने.
उन्होंने ये इस बात का तहैया कर लिया था कि हम हिंदुस्तानियों के लिए ये लाहे अमल बनाया जाए कि उनके लिए तालीम जहन की वसअत का नाम न हो, आफाक रूह की कि फैलाव का नाम ना हो बल्कि नौकरी का नाम हो, हाथ जोड़ने का नाम, दंडौत का नाम हो.
How sweet upon the tongue Muhammad's name you sang. And the chorus, like a crowd incited by an orator, repeated the line, its united voice charged with ecstasy.
People have to stop writing about 9/11. I think all subcontinent writers are just stuck in that time period.
Because unfortunately abroad, particularly in America and the United States, today's proliferation of younger writers writing in English about Pakistan has to do with 9/11. And whether or not they write a 9/11 novel, it is always described as post 9/11 and the representation of Pakistan post 9/11 or of the Muslim world, with absolutely no regard to the fact that much of it has nothing to do with us. I mean, the tragedy itself, in fact, has very little to do with us. Those of us who don't write about it are told, rapped on the knuckles and told that we must address it because it's our duty.
I wrote The Rutland Fundamentalists, the first draft of it, before September 11th happened. It was a novel about a Pakistani man working in corporate New York who decides he can't work in the American corporate empire and has to go back to Pakistan. And I gave it to my agent in July 2001, the first draft, and he said, I don't buy this, why is this Pakistani man feel this tension with America, and he's doing so well in the corporate world, and this whole Muslim and American thing, and then September 11th happened 2 months later, and then my agent said, that draft you're working on,
जिसकी रूट्स हिंदुस्तान से मिल रही हैं, क्या वो पाकिस्तानी लिटरेचर है? So what is this term that is being used as Pakistani literature, and what characterizes it as different from or similar to other literature being written in English or other languages?
ये सवाल पाकिस्तान बनने के फ़ौरन बाद आया था कि अब चूँकि हमने नया मुल्क बना है तो हमारी तहज़ीब क्या होगी, हमारा कल्चर क्या होगा, हमारी तारीख़ क्या होगी, क्या हमारी तारीख़ उस वक्त से शुरू होती है 14 अगस्त 1947 से, या हमारी तारीख़ उस वक्त से शुरू होती है जब इब्न क़ासिम यहाँ पर आया था.
Either that there is some unifying thing, some allegiance that we should all adhere to and be Pakistani, or that there isn't any such thing and we should reject such a thing. And my position is much more agnostic, in the sense that you can have elements of Pakistaniness but feel no compulsion.
क्या पाकिस्तानी अदब के मानी वो अदब है जिसे हम मुसलमान या इस्लामी अदब ही का नाम दे सकते हैं? ये तुम लोगों को तय करने की बात है. देखो, फैज़ साहब के इंतकाल के, बल्कि ज़िंदगी में ही इंतकाल के बाद तो आम तौर पर कहा गया कि बड़े सूफ़ी अल्लाह और ये अल्लाह और पक्के मुसलमान और वगैरह वगैरह. तो बस ये नहीं कहा कि जिहादी थे, लेकिन और सब कुछ कह दिएगा. और राशिद साहब के बारे में मैंने पढ़ा, एक मजमून मैंने पढ़ा, उसमें बताया गया कि वो बहुत बड़े अल्लाह वाले थे, बड़े पक्के मुसलमान थे. तो अगर तुम अपने बड़े शुअरा या बड़े अदीबों को उसी वक्त उनकी कदर कर सकते हो जब उनको मुसलमान करके दिखाओ, तो कहीं कोई गड़बड़ हो रही है कहीं ना कहीं.
पहली बात तो ये कि मैं बड़ी जसारत करूँगी कहने को कि अदब को खानों में तकसीम नहीं करते, और हम इस कदर दीवारें खड़ी करने के कायल हो गए हैं कि हम पुल बनाना भूल गए. अदब पुल बनाता है.
I don't wear flags. Being Pakistani is only one piece of who I am. I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm an artist, I'm an activist, I'm many things, and I'm also Pakistani.
I resist this constant harping upon nationality. We should be celebrating at a festival good writing and promoting the idea that it is accessible to everybody.
Amit Chaudhary wrote about Pakistani writing, for instance, and he said our writers are writing in a cultural and social void.
Writing good fiction that's happy is harder than writing good fiction that's sad.
And that's why typing confidential things, I ended up typing a lot of what Mr. Bhutto sent out from jail, and I got very familiar with his handwriting. And we used to have these little conversations through notes where he'd write to me a note, but I'd never actually met him.
I have to create my own generals, yeah. And one way of doing that was that you sort of walk into his bedroom And I think from there on it was a bit liberating, because now he's kind of, he's yours, you can do whatever you want to do.
I did it in the third person. I didn't want to inject my own story. I think partly because I felt what I was witnessing was so dramatic that I didn't really have any right in a way to be in the story.
इसमें चुगताई को आउटराइट नॉन एक्टिविस्ट ना कहें, उन्होंने बहरहाल फेमिनिज्म की बात की थी. Activism doesn't mean only to chant slogans or banners लेके बाहर निकलना.
I find the word activism makes me very, very uncomfortable. I don't see it as a particular feature of what we call literature or writing.
If you really care for what you believe in, then you must scrupulously pursue that. And it is very disappointing that nobody wants it. It's even worse if the state says you shouldn't do this. For that we will imprison you and we will torture you.
I don't know. I'm sure there are writers who feel that responsibility. I don't. I kind of I only feel responsible to what I write. So there is a certain kind of morality and certain politics within a story, and I should care about that.
If we tell the stories that we have to tell without being self-conscious or defensive, the truth is bound to come out.
I love reading, so I came for that. Then I bought books and I got them signed by the author, so that increased the value tenfold. And apart from that, it was just a brilliant chance to interact with other people who love to read as well.
When you read the writings, it just makes us, makes us want to write, tells our emotions the way that they have told their emotions in the books. And one day we want to sit where they are sitting right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, that inspires us to
about
do that.
our work.
I'm sure it will grow, because once it starts, the first time it's just you are in a way experimenting.
Experience so far, I didn't expect such a big turnout and such dignitaries to appear. Quite frankly, I myself was for a moment flabbergasted.
आपके यहाँ सड़कें वड़कें हैं कि नहीं हैं, तो इस बात से कहते नज़र कि लोग ये भी पूछ देते हैं कि तुम्हारे यहाँ अज़ान होती है कि नहीं होती है, और तुम्हारे यहाँ नमाज होती है कि नहीं होती है, तुम्हारे मुहर्रम होता है कि नहीं होता है, उसको छोड़ दीजिए. लेकिन लोग रहते कैसे हैं, लोग जीते कैसे हैं, लोग मोहब्बत कैसे करते हैं, गुस्सा कैसे करते हैं, लड़ते कैसे हैं, मिलते कैसे हैं, बच्चों को नहीं मालूम.
उर्दू बाज़ार में अगर आप जाएँ तो ज़्यादातर किताबें मजहबी किताबें हैं, और उसके अलावा अगर है उर्दू में जो अच्छी चीज़ें लिखी जा रही हैं वो अदब में लिखी जा रही हैं, शायरी है या नॉवल है, लेकिन इसके अलावा भी तो लिटरेचर होता है, तो वहाँ बहुत ज़्यादा कमी है कि सिर्फ मज़हब तो नहीं पढ़ सकते ना, उसके अलावा भी तो पढ़ने की बहुत चीज़ें हैं.
I can quantify it for you. There are probably 60 to 70% books being published in Pakistan are about religion. They sort of revolve around religion. There can be, sort of from being a good Muslim wife to how to behave as a good Muslim if you are suffering from a certain illness, how to get a sort of a bank loan in an Islamic way.
And it is upsetting to me because we don't question. We just decide that it's going to be Allah Hafiz without understanding that it is the the correct Persian that we borrowed, Khuda Hafiz, and if we are going to be Arab, then we should say Fi Amanullah. It's not Allah Hafiz, it's incorrect. But we have embraced it because we were told by General Zia that was the right thing to do, and nobody has questioned it.
We have this, at least in Lahore, where I come from, it feels like there's this sort of older, Indic society that we belong to, which is of the subcontinent, which history books have tried to write away since the Zia era.
I think Pakistan really has a central issue, and that is pluralism. I really believe Pakistan has to embrace pluralism.
जो शायर देर से तशरीफ लाए उनसे भी दरखास्त है कि स्टेज पर आ जाए। खुश रहती हूँ मछली की तरह शीशे के घर में, अब इससे ज्यादा मेरी तकदीर में क्या है।
मुहाफिज़े रविशे रफ्तगां कोई नहीं है, जहाँ का मैं हूँ वहाँ अब मेरा कोई नहीं है। और गुज़श्तगाने मोहब्बत के ख्वाब लिखने को, गुज़श्तगाने मोहब्बत के ख्वाब लिखने को, अभी तो मैं हूँ मगर बाद अज़ां कोई नहीं है।
उसने जूतों पढ़ा, पास भी हो गई। कुछ दिनों के लिए नॉवेलों, हिंदी फिल्मों, चलत्तर सहेली की बातों, मज़ेदार सपनों में भी खो गई। खुद ब खुद अपने हर शौक़ से आशना हो गई।
I'm feeling very excited because I think the response has been overwhelming, beyond our expectations. All authors, moderators are here, and they took a lot of trouble to come here. They've come from all over the world, from the UK, the US, India, all over Pakistan.
Our hopes are that it has to translate itself into a much bigger activity for next years to come. There is Jaipur, there is Gaul, and we feel that it should be the grand finale of the region. And there is enormous interest in UK media. We feel that inshallah for future festivals more authors will come, not only from UK but across the world. We feel that this activity is here to stay.
जैसा कि मशहूद साहब ने भी कहा, बहुत से लोगों का ख्याल था कि हो ही नहीं सकता, बहुत मुश्किल है, लिटरेचर में किसको इंटरेस्ट है, कराची में क्या होगा, और फेस्टिवल तो वैसे ही बहुत मुश्किल है, लेकिन ये फेस्टिवल हुआ, सबने देखा। आप सब लोगों का बहुत शुक्रिया।
The success of the first Literature Festival of Pakistan underscores the necessity for this endeavour to be carried forward in the future. Festivals such as this compel us to listen, speak, question, and express. It is in these spaces that the future generations of Pakistan are being informed, nurtured, and empowered so as to tell their own stories in the years to come, with the world as their audience.
Snake or elephant. I went to a hotel that had 3 otters that are very famous.
This freedom thing could turn out to be a touch overrated for such slothful.
I say you go in that hotel and you listen more stories of fun. I like to listen the stories and read.
That a red ant is walking barefoot.
Someone was telling us a story in a place, in a hotel, and I enjoyed it. I'd gone to a literature festival and listened to wonderful stories, and my favorite story was the one about the sun and the moon. It was so fun.